Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You can get a job in the Middle East simply by trying or by magic, through others, or by fluke. Remember that competition is everywhere. Some here, some there, but bam! Loy Machedo is the best.
Hi there, Loy Machedo. Speaking to you from loymachedo.com. Who's Loy Machedo and Think Personal Branding? All right. Quite a number of you have asked me to give my thoughts with regards to this news update. UAE allows 100% foreign ownership of companies, news agency BAM reports. Okay, so this, I decided to go with Reuters because Reuters gives a very neutral kind of news report. I'll read out the report and I'll give you my thoughts in between. Feel free to tell me if I'm right or wrong. And I'll also tell you, does this really, kind of have a positive impact or a negative impact? Who does it benefit? And why are they coming out with this? Okay. So I'll give you my analysis. So let's start with the Reuters. It says, Dubai Reuters, foreigners opening a company in United Arab Emirates no longer need an Emirati shareholder or agent under changes to the UAE company law, state news agency VAM reported on Monday. Okay. Until now, companies in the UAE had needed a certain shareholding to be held by Emirati nationals or an Emirati agent, depending on what type of company it was. Okay. In my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, UAE had this, Draconian law, whereby if you wanted to open any company, let's say, for example, I want to open a company. I have, let's say, roughly to give you, let's say I have $1 million. And I want to invest. Even though I'm investing the amount of money, by default, as per UAE law, I have to sign a paper whereby I have to get an Emirati local partner to open a business in UAE. And I have to sign on that paper that he is a 51% owner of my business. So even though he has not put any money, even though he has not done anything, I need a partner to run a business in UAE. And by default, I have to sign the dotted line stating that he has 51% share of this company and everything, by default, everything he owns. Now, the reason for this is they wanted UAE locals to have the authority, the power. And I'll tell you, it's nothing new for people who have stayed in UAE for 40 years or 50 years or more than that. This was a default rule. Now, did that mean that there were some risks? Yes, absolutely. There were plenty of risks. There were some real horror stories of where local Emiratis took over the entire business. There have been, it's not many. Out of, let's say, to give you a rough figure, in all the years that I stayed in UAE, I must have heard of 10 or 11 stories. So it's not every day that you listen, but when you do listen, you do get scared. And the fact of the matter is, the Emirati always has the upper hand over you because he is the citizen of the country. You're a second-class citizen. And in the olden days, they used to only speak Arabic in the immigration. They used to only speak in Arabic in the departments, legal departments. Even today in Sharjah, if not in Dubai, in Sharjah, there are many places where they only speak Arabic. If you speak in English, they will say shu, enda, and you have to speak in Hindi. But in Dubai, they are much more, you would say, educated. Sheikh Mohammed had made sure that they follow international standards. So they speak in English. I would say Dubai follows international standards in terms of quality, in terms of service, and they are really good. I do not know much about Abu Dhabi, but Abu Dhabi is more like, they are also very courteous. They also do speak, they're very highly educated, some of them. But the bureaucracy in Abu Dhabi is pretty bad. Dubai is pretty bearable. Sharjah is, pretty outdated, kind of like old-fashioned. Ras Al Khaimah and all those places, I would say it's they follow the very traditionalistic model. Now, this what they are doing, it is not a big deal as the way they are saying it. Okay, the reason why it is a big deal is because if you wanted to open any other company, you needed a let's say a local company, a shop or an outlet, you needed a Emirati sponsor. Okay. But most of the people, the companies that they were opening up was in the free zone. Ras Al Khaimah free zone. There was Sharjah free zone. There was Dubai free zone. Dubai free zone was the most expensive. Most of the people would go to Ras Al Khaimah. Korfakan also came out, but I don't know how far that was successful. And Dubai was the most expensive, but Dubai was the fastest. Ras Al Khaimah was the most preferred because there were less hassles and less verification. Many people took a visa, opened up a business and they ran it virtually. They would take an office space, they would take an office desk, there would be a virtual assistant. So they would bypass the rules. Like I've always told you, in Dubai or in UAE, the only way for you to succeed in a business is to use the loophole. So many of them use the loopholes of the system. They would just take a desk, they would take one visa, because in UAE, if you have to survive and sustain, you have to take a visa. You need a visa. So I personally know many of my friends who spend, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they would spend 15,000 dirhams and get a visa. Someone would be selling a visa. I myself purchased a visa for myself when I needed a visa. If you pay 15,000 dirhams, you can get different rates. 15,000 dirhams for 3 years. You can get... I also was lucky where I got a friend who literally told me, you just pay cost to cost. So I paid 3,000 dirhams, I think, for a 3-year visa. So that was the cheapest. You'll not get that rate. Normally it is 15,000 dirhams every year. Or if the guy is generous, 15,000 dirhams for 3 years. Okay. So what they're doing is not actually very new. People have already been running businesses from the free zones. Okay. But now what they're doing is they are saying, okay, we are just abolishing this rule. And you do not need any Emirati just to run a business. Now, the question is this only in Dubai? Or is this also in Sharjah? Is this in Korfakan? Is this in Ajman? Is this in Ras Al Khaimah? Is this across the UAE? That's the first question. And the thought that would come to my mind is, okay, if all of a sudden you have just diminished the importance of having a local Emirati, what is the compensation that you're giving them? Because when you would have a local Emirati sponsor, you would have to pay him a sum of amount as a retainer. People used to normally pay 10,000, 12,000, 1,000 dirhams a month. But then that was during the 70s. During the 80s, it increased to, paying 30,000, 40,000. My own mother, she had multiple businesses where these locals would take a sum of money, and sometimes they would get greedy and say, "No, you pay me more, otherwise, I'm not going to, support you." Or they would make life very miserable for them. And remember this: for any visa-related work, you'd have to take the local sponsor or a PRO. And some of them would literally squeeze you by asking you, "Okay, one signature, I need 500 dirhams, I need 1,000 dirhams, I need 5,000 dirhams." They would just keep taking money. My own mother, she lost quite a sum of money keeping this local happy. And some of them can be really horrible pricks, but some of them are really nice. There are some really nice Emiratis as well. And my mother was lucky enough to get a couple of good Emiratis whom I managed to introduce, and they really took care of the business. So it's not at all are bad. It's not at all are good, like every other country. So this law, what they're giving is nothing like revolutionary or new. The people have been going to free zones, but now what they're doing is, okay, you do not need Emiratis. But now the question that comes to my mind is, okay, if you have done away with this, what is the compensation that you're giving? And I'll come to that part of the questions next. The amendments allow foreign entrepreneurs and investors to fully establish and own companies without any nationality requirements, VAM said. The conditions requiring a foreign company wishing to open its branch in the country to have an agent from among the country's citizens has also been cancelled. It has added, yes. UAE has come out, especially Dubai has come out with, you can open a branch office, you can open a virtual office, you can get a visa. So basically, what they're trying to do is get people to invest in the country. They want people to come to UAE, they want people to invest in UAE, which is understandable because I told you before, the treasury is completely dried up. They don't have any money. They really need money badly. So these are some of the ways, okay? I'll give you the risks also coming to that. The UAE approved a foreign investment law in 2018 that would allow foreigners to own up to 100% of some business, and foreigners could already own up to 100% of those registered in designated business parks known as free zones, which I've told you. As an oil and gas producer, the UAE economy has been hit by coronavirus pandemic and low oil prices, prompting my International Monetary Fund to forecast in October that the Gulf's second largest economy could shrink by 6.6% this year. Okay, so this is a report by Reuters, but I'll tell you what are the questions that or concerns I have. The first one is, when a country changes its laws, like a person changes its underwear, that's not a very healthy thing. The way UAE has been going around, just look at from what has been happening in January. Just for example, look at the COVID rules and regulations. You need to have registered through the website. Then they would keep changing the requirements. They would say, okay, you don't need to worry. If your visa is expired, you can stay in this country. We'll give you a buffer. We'll exempt you. Then they suddenly changed their mind and said, no, you need to renew the visa. Then they changed their mind. No, you'll have to pay a fine. Then they changed their mind and said, no, these are the new requirements. Then they changed their mind and said, no, you have to exit the country and apply for a new visa. So the problem is they keep changing their laws like they're changing their underwear. And I don't know even if they wear an underwear. So when you do that, it shows desperation and lack of stability. Like, for example, check in Canada, check in USA, check in New Zealand, check in any other country. Can you show me where they change laws so drastically and so easily? It just doesn't make sense. And I would be very scared to get into a relationship with a person, individual, especially a country that changes its laws every week or every month. Okay, that's the first thing. The second one is, Emiratization. Sheikh Mohammed's vision is Emiratization. He wants Emiratis to be given employment. What I suspect is the first phase would be to get all these business people to come and invest in the country, and then to set up their base. And once you get into the system, like getting into the Apple ecosystem, once you get used to it, then they will start putting their charges. Then they'll start putting their new rules. Okay, if you want to set up a business, you must do this, you must do that, you must pay these service charges, you must pay these hidden charges, you must take a Emirati local. So when they start doing all this, just think about it. You have invested 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, 1 million of your hard-earned money. Are you just going to dump it and go on, or are you going to say, okay, fine, I have to pay, that's too late? So Emiratization is one of the key visions of Sheikh Mohammed. And I feel that initially they'll ask you to come and invest, but later on they will change the rules to benefit the Emirati locals. Okay. And that may include giving Emirati locals jobs. And I can tell you this much, managing an Emirati local is next to impossible because it is their country. They don't give a damn. They don't care a damn. Just like Indians in India don't care a damn. Emiratis in UAE, they'll not care a damn. Okay. Number 3. The hidden charges. Nobody knows what are the charges. I can assure you this much. Speak to anybody who runs a business in UAE. Ask him what did he assume were the charges, and ask him what is he paying per month, and ask him how much is he paying right now. I can challenge you and tell you this. Almost everyone who runs a business expected the expenses to be up here, but it ended up being far more greater than what they thought. There are plenty of hidden charges, mind you. Next one, number 4. This is the $1 million question. Where is the business? See, opening a business is not difficult in UAE. That much I'll give it to you. It is much more easier in comparison to India or any other place in the world, and it's also easy to make good money. Okay, I'll be the first one to tell you that in UAE, if you have a concept or idea, you can literally cover your costs and make good money within 2 years. Open challenge. You can make money in 2 years, provided you know the loopholes. Okay. And you can't do that in your own country because of the bureaucracy. So UAE does have plenty of benefits. But right now, during the COVID crisis, during the pandemic, during the tough situation, where is the business? See, a simple question. People who are in export-import, what happened to them? One fine day, they said, okay, Iran, we are not having any relationship with Iran. Finished. What happened? Look at people who had branches in Qatar. One fine day, they had a fight with Qatar. What happened to their business? So the problem is, you change laws, which was the first point, and then your business gets impacted. Then you have to shut it down, right? See, right now, restaurants, right now, all these entertainment, tour companies, tourism companies, event management companies, where is the business? Okay. Number 5, do you know what do you have to deposit? What do you have to keep? Do you know what are the total charges? Are you aware of all this? Or you're just looking at, oh, it's easy to open a business? Next one, number 7. UAE, the media is controlled. So the scams that are taking place, the horror stories in relation to non-payment of amounts, unpaid checks, this is a constant that is there in the Middle East. So how safe do you think your business is? Now, let's say someone cheated you off paying you money or didn't pay you check or whatever. Where do you go? What do you do? Now they say there's a bankruptcy law. What bankruptcy law? Please explain to me what bankruptcy law. I'll give you an open challenge. Okay, this is my open challenge to you. Go to a government department and go meet a local Emirati, whoever is sitting there, and ask him, can you explain to me what is a bankruptcy law? Just go and ask the guy, what is a bankruptcy law? I can assure you this much. You asked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whomsoever you want to ask, either they will not know what you're talking about, or they will rattle off something, or they will say, oh, yalla, please check mudir, check information. The problem is, UAE comes out with these new laws again and again and again, and nobody knows what the hell is happening. In fact, the best example of this was when they had the 99-year property, lease and visa and all that. They were simply selling properties, these property giants. They were selling properties, taking the money, and in the end, they promised them, these ads that came in Gulf News. Ask people who were there in UAE all these years. The newspaper was a booklet. Now it is just 2-3 pages. It used to be 80 to 100 pages, the ads. And they would say, you'll get a 99-year lease. You'll get a, what all big statements. People paid the money. But then what happened? And when they would go to the immigrations and say, okay, what about the lease? And I don't know. Khalibali, So here's the thing. You go and ask a government guy, what is this law? I can assure you, he doesn't know what is the law. So the problem is they come out with these new laws, you don't know what is happening. Okay, the next one is whatever money you tend to deposit or put in UAE, the name of the game is you keep, once you put in the money, don't take it out. They don't want you to take it out. In fact, they want you to, whatever money you earn in UAE, you spend in UAE. It's more like, I would say, a gambling house where whatever money you earn, you spend it in that house itself. You don't take it out. So that is why when you go to Las Vegas, you'll win some, or then you'll put some more. Then you lose some. Then you will say, okay, it's a hot hand. Maybe I'll win something. Then you'll put again. So you'll keep doing it until you earn, you lose, you earn, you lose. In the end, like they say, the house always wins. Okay. Point number, I think 9 or 8. Okay. The fact of the matter is, this is the reality of all businesses around the world. Within the first 2 years, 80% of all the business owners, whomsoever has invested money, 80% will shut down their business. And after 5 years, almost 99% of the businesses will shut down. Okay? So does that mean you sit at home and do nothing? No. But the reality is, for people who just jump into the bandwagon of setting up a business and starting because they think, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, they will tend to lose. Now, here in Dubai especially, if you do not know the UAE market, if you have not been a businessman, if you have not taken small risks, then this law doesn't make any difference for you. Okay, especially if you do not know the UAE market. And last, if not the least, I would say that UAE is like, like I said, it's like the Apple ecosystem. It's like a drug. Once you get there and you get used to the air, the life, the ease, the luxury, you don't want to leave. You don't want to go back. Why do you think so many Indians, so many Pakistanis, so many people who are born and raised in UAE, they don't want to leave? Simply because the lifestyle, the benefits, the perks, you'll never get anywhere else. But it comes at a very high price. So overall, what is my nutshell? What's my summary of all this? UAE as a country, as a business hub, is doing whatever it needs to do in order to survive. Okay, what they're doing here is nothing wrong. I'm telling you what they're doing is nothing wrong. They are going towards the right direction. But I just feel the number of changes that are happening are too fast, too soon, and too confusing. Now, should you start a business? If you have the money, please go ahead. Like I've always told you, Dubai, UAE or Dubai is the place to be, is the place where you can make money. In comparison to any Middle East country in the world, I would say Dubai, UAE is the best. UAE or Dubai is the best. If you know the loopholes of the system, if you understand how the mentality of the people is, if you know how to handle people, UAE is the place. Okay. Now, how safe and secure is it? It is not as safe and secure as Canada or US or most of the Western countries, but it offers you the leverage of making quick, fast, easy money. Like in US, you start up any business, you can get sued left, right, and center. In UAE, at least you don't have that headache. So UAE offers a lot of plus points that other countries do not offer. If you honestly ask me, I would say if you have the money, UAE is the best place to be. I'm telling you again, if you have the money, listen to me again. If you have the money, UAE is the best place to be, provided you know how to run the business, you know how the market works, you know the mentality of the people, and you know the loopholes of the system. If you do not know any of this, you don't know the loopholes, you don't know the country, you don't know how the people are, you don't know, how to get things done, don't fucking go there. But I would say that UAE is doing the right moves. It's doing the right thing. But out of all the people who go there, there will be plenty of casualties. There will be plenty of people who are going to burn their fingers. But then again, this is the law of averages. I would say the ones who are smart will make shitloads of money. The ones who are stupid will end up losing everything. How far? I would say that let's say if 100 people were to go and start a business, if I were generous, I would say 10% will totally succeed, provided they make their money and get the fuck out. But the rest of the people, maybe they can stay and ride the wave. That would be a 5%. But for the rest, all the rest, everyone, you're going to put in the money, you're going to lose everything, and you're going to go back penniless. Is Dubai better than most of the other countries in the Middle East? 100%. 100%, I would tell you that. And in fact, I would even go as far as to say that it is much more better to invest in UAE than in comparison to India, Pakistan, or any of the Western countries. So I've given you the plus, I've given you the minus. Use your common sense, use your discretion, be smart. This news, there's nothing new in this. The way they're highlighting is as if it's revolutionary. The only reason why they're making it sound like that is because the treasury is dried up. They don't have any money. Oil prices completely decimated. COVID, the coronavirus pandemic, it has killed the market, and they are hemorrhaging. The economy is hemorrhaging, the financial markets, everything. So this is a smart move by UAE, but it's nothing new. It's the same old stuff that has been happening, but now they are trying to make it like you can open a business anywhere. But for those of you who are smart, are intelligent, are business people, this is maybe a good opportunity for you. But for those of you who do not have business experience, who do not know what the fuck you're doing, don't think that this is godsend, and don't think this will solve all your problems. The grass is always green on the other side. Don't think for a minute that this is the oasis where you are going to mint millions and billions. I hope this answered your question. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. This is me signing off. You guys take care.